So imagine you are holding an hourglass,
Okay, picturing it.
but instead of sand, the top glass is filled with all of your potential, like
Mhm.
your talents, your unspoken words, your unpursued ideas.
Right, all the good stuff.
Exactly. And we usually think of time as the thing flowing through the middle. But what if the simple act of holding the hourglass perfectly still, like choosing not to flip it, is actually what shatters the glass?
Oh, wow. That's a really intense visual.
Yeah, it is. And well, welcome everyone. Whether you are tuning in to prep for a busy day, or maybe you just want to feed your insatiable curiosity without getting bogged down by information overload, we are so glad you are here.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into some source material that is going to fundamentally challenge how you view the entire concept of waiting. We're looking at a translated 2011 philosophical essay. It's by an author named Suafing.
And it has a title that honestly pulls zero punches.
It really doesn't. The title is The Crisis of Being Eliminated Lurks in Passivity.
Yet you hear that and you immediately know this isn't going to be a light, breezy read.
Not at all. So our mission today is to explore the author's uncompromising argument that hesitation and passivity, well, they aren't just bad habits. According to this text, they are literal existential threats to our souls.
Literal threats, yeah.
And we want to extract the actionable insights from all this to figure out how we can inject some actual vitality into our own lives. So, okay, let's unpack this. Because the author's definition of passivity is incredibly stark.
It really is.
Like, they don't frame it as just being a bit lazy on a Sunday afternoon. They define it as the actual repression of life itself.
And that is the core premise we really have to grapple with right out of the gate. I mean, it requires a complete shift in how we view human energy.
How so?
Well, we tend to think of passivity as a neutral state. Like you imagine a car parked in a driveway. The engine is off. It's not burning gas. It's just safe and resting.
Right, it's just chilling there.
Exactly. But the essay argues that in the context of a human lifespan, there is no such thing as park. Time is a highly active, corrosive agent. So passivity means dullness, loneliness, and depression because in this framework, not taking initiative is an active act of irresponsibility.
Irresponsibility toward your own existence.
Yes, exactly.
And the imagery the author uses to back that up is incredibly vivid. I mean, they talk about how the brilliance of youth flees within the blink of an eye, like how precious time is gone, like a quote, torrent in a river.
It just washes away.
Yeah. And if we don't reveal the elegance of life in a timely way, we are left with just pity and regrets. And the text describes these regrets as dust and ashes deposited in the riverbed, or this one got me, poisonous weeds and thorns growing in the garden of one's soul.
Thorns in the soul. It's very evocative.
But I mean, why does it have to be toxic? Like, why can't unspent potential just be, unspent?
Because the human mind isn't a sterile storage container. The essay suggests that unexpressed potential ferments.
Oh, it goes bad.
Right. If you have a profound thought or a creative impulse and you suppress it, it doesn't just cleanly vanish. It turns into resentment or anxiety or, a deep sense of inadequacy when you watch someone else execute the very idea you were too afraid to try.
Oh, I hate that feeling.
We all do. And the author portrays passive lives as being entirely at the mercy of fate, trapped in a concept called samsara.
Samsara. Now, that usually refers to the endless cycle of death and rebirth in Eastern philosophies, right? Like the cycle of suffering.
Yes, exactly. And the author is applying it very practically here to our daily psychological state. Samsara is, well, it's waking up, feeling unfulfilled, waiting for permission from the universe to act, not getting it, going to sleep, and repeating that cycle endlessly.
Just cyclical drifting.
Exactly. Cyclical drifting. And by contrast, taking initiative is portrayed as the only mechanism we have to override that trajectory. The author states that initiating lives can overcome difficulties, override the default trajectory of fate, and actually reach a realm of freedom.
So you literally disrupt the mathematical probability of your own suffering just by introducing a novel action.
You force a new outcome, yeah.
That immediately makes me think of hoarding mechanics in a video game.
Oh, right, like saving all your items.
Yes. You play this massive role-playing game, and you find all these super rare potions or magic items or powerful currency, and you just keep stuffing them into your inventory, thinking, oh, I'll save this for the perfect moment. I'll need this when things get really tough.
But then you never use them.
Right. The credits roll, the game ends, and your inventory is just completely full of items you were too afraid to use. You hoarded all that value, and now the game is over and they are utterly worthless.
That is a perfect modern parallel. And actually, the author uses a similar economic analogy. They compare passivity to money kept in a bank that just devalues over time due to inflation.
The inflation of time. That is a brilliant way to look at it.
Yeah, if your wisdom and talent aren't deployed on time, their market value drops to absolute zero. You thought you were preserving your wealth, but the mechanism of time was quietly bankrupting you.
Okay, so if human psychology naturally tricks us into thinking waiting is safe, how does the rest of the physical world handle this? Because the author doesn't just leave this in the realm of human neurosis, they zoom out, right?
They do. They frame passivity as a fundamental violation of the laws of nature itself.
Right, because the essay anchors its philosophy in the natural world to prove that this urgency isn't just some, modern human construct born out of hustle culture.
Exactly. The natural world operates on completely unforgiving, strict timelines.
So what does this all mean? I mean, I have to push back a little on the author's logic here because the consequences laid out in the text are severe.
They are very harsh.
Yeah, the text points out that fresh flowers bloom for very brief moments. Fruit trees bear fruit before it spoils. Insects have this incredibly tiny window of time to breed. And vegetation must sprout in the spring or it loses the chance to stretch its leaves.
It's a very tight schedule.
But then it goes further. It literally says if a fruit tree doesn't produce, it is chopped down. If a hen doesn't lay eggs exactly when it's ready, it risks being eliminated or killed for meat.
The farm animal analogy, yeah.
I find that incredibly aggressive. Like, it is tying the fundamental right to exist directly to immediate output. Are we really supposed to model our lives on a chicken risking the slaughterhouse?
What's fascinating here is how the author uses that exact brutality you're sensing to dismantle the human illusion of waiting for the perfect moment.
Dismantle the illusion. Okay.
Right, because you're reacting to the harshness because, well, as humans, we love to romanticize potential. But nature is fundamentally utilitarian. It doesn't care about potential energy. It only recognizes kinetic energy.
Meaning action.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A flower doesn't wait to bloom until the weather is absolutely flawless
Yeah.
and there's a perfect audience to appreciate its beauty. It blooms because it is spring, and blooming is its biological mechanism.
So it doesn't have imposter syndrome. It just executes its programming.
Precisely. The text uses the harsh realities of agriculture and biology, chopping the barren tree, eating the non-laying hen, to illustrate that the universe simply does not tolerate stagnation.
It's ruthless.
It is. The system requires constant flow and immediate expression of purpose. And failure to participate in that flow results in being discarded or recycled by the ecosystem.
Wow. So the universe isn't going to coddle your potential. It's basically demanding, show me what you've got right now, or step aside so something else can use those resources.
That's the biological mandate.
And that makes sense for a tree or a chicken. But what happens when we scale this up? Like, to millions of complex, neurotic human beings forming a society? Does the ruthless math change at all?
According to the text, the math doesn't change even a little bit. Sociology simply mimics biology here.
So it scales perfectly.
Yeah, the author transitions smoothly from the garden to the nation. The essay warns that a nation must actively introduce and promote its cultural characteristics.
Or else what?
Well, if a society decides to stay hidden in a corner, to remain conservative and preserve what the author calls outworn systems, the text is unequivocal. It will inevitably perish.
Man. So it's the exact same law as the sprouting seed, just applied to entire civilizations.
Right. And for the individual, especially highly talented people, the text says they have to actively hunt for or create opportunities.
You can't just sit in your room being a secret genius.
No, you have to strike before the situation shifts. Otherwise, the chance to show your intelligence is lost forever. And there's this striking quote the author uses to drive this home.
Oh, yeah, I have it right here. It says, quote, "The mind of a real gentleman is as clear as the blue sky, as bright as the shining sun, which shall be known to others."
Which shall be known to others. That quote is the pivotal hinge of the entire essay. It emphasizes that internal virtue or hidden talent is insufficient.
The brightness must be known.
Yes.
And that concept completely flips how we normally view modesty in our culture. Like, we often think of keeping our heads down or not showing off as a huge virtue.
We do. We're taught not to boast.
Right. But think about you, the listener, right now. Maybe you have an amazing project sitting in your drafts folder. Or a business idea you haven't launched because you think it's just not quite ready.
Always tinkering with it.
Exactly. This text is arguing you aren't protecting your work by hiding it. You are being stingy. You are actively depriving the world of your brightness.
And that is the philosophical pivot the essay makes. It frames active expression not merely as a strategy for personal success. Like, it's not about getting a promotion or becoming famous. It frames it as a profound moral duty.
A moral duty to share your gifts.
Yes. The text explicitly says we must create opportunities to make our presence bring maximum benefits to mankind and to benefit society and nature.
Wow.
Your talents are not your personal property. They are tools meant to be utilized for the collective good, and withholding them is a failure to fulfill your role in the ecosystem. You are a node in a network, and by choosing passivity, you are literally starving the network.
I mean, I follow the logic on the societal obligation, I get that. But looking at the source material, the author takes a massive leap right after this.
A very big leap, yes.
We go from clearing out your drafts folder and contributing to society straight into ultimate cosmic judgment. Here's where it gets really interesting, because the text introduces the concept of the greatest creator.
It does.
It asserts that everything created has its own specific value and function, and fulfilling this function is the only way to please the creator and prolong life.
The escalation is jarring if you aren't expecting it. The author moves from the practical to the theological in a single breath.
Yeah, and the stakes become absolute. There is zero middle ground here. If you fulfill your function and reveal your value, the text says you get to ascend and reach the highest realm of life, which it calls the celestial islands continent of the Elysium.
The ultimate reward.
Right. But if you fail to have value or function, the consequence is being banished down to, quote, the dump of life, hell. I mean, how is the listener supposed to process that? We just went from biology to literal heaven and hell.
This raises an important question about how we interpret philosophical texts that lean on intense spiritual jargon.
Okay, how should we look at it?
We have to look at the mechanism of what the author is actually arguing. The language is definitely steeped in spiritual extremes, Elysium and hell, ascension and banishment. But the essay uses these extremes impartially to illustrate its core philosophical dichotomy.
Meaning what, exactly?
It explicitly links these cosmic destinations to our daily psychological mindset. It states that pessimism and despair belong exclusively to the passive, while optimism and hope belong to the active.
Oh, I see. So in a practical sense, hell isn't necessarily a fiery pit underground that you go to after you die. Hell is the lived state of being chronically passive right now. It's the despair of knowing you're wasting away.
Exactly. The theological terms are metaphors for the ultimate consequences of our psychological momentum.
And the author drives that home with a really specific image. They say those who always hesitate and wait in depression are like incombustible wood waiting to decay.
Incombustible wood.
Yeah. You are a log that refuses to catch fire, so you just sit in the forest and rot.
It makes me think of modern corporate burnout or analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
A lot of times we think we are burned out from doing too much, but this essay suggests we are actually rusting out from doing too little.
Rusting out. I like that phrasing.
Yeah, we are rotting because we refuse to ignite our actual passions.
And that distinction between burning out and rusting out is deeply aligned with the text. The psychological torture of having potential but refusing to ignite it, that is the dump of life the author is warning against.
So how do we operate under this crushing cosmic pressure? I mean, if the stakes are ascension or rusting into nothingness, how do you go about your day without having a constant existential crisis? What is the actionable philosophy here for the listener tuning in?
Well, the text counters all this heavy cosmic weight with a surprisingly grounded and simple directive. Do not wait for tomorrow. Just bloom in the present.
Just bloom now. Yes. And it's adamant that your environment is no excuse. The author writes that it doesn't matter if a flower grows in an imperial garden, in thorn grass, on a cliff, or in a moor, it will duly bloom its beauty. You cannot wait for the perfect soil.
So you have to apply that to yourself. Whether you are sitting in a fancy corner office or you're stuck in terrible traffic, at a dance hall, or just hanging out at a coffee shop, you have to actively show sincerity, kindness, and love right now.
Right now, wherever you are.
And the text even points this directly at romance, which I found fascinating. It specifically says, do not wait to confess your love to someone. Waiting destroys the best opportunities and leaves eternal regret.
It's very romantic in that sense.
It is. But why? Why is waiting so destructive to opportunity?
Because of the illusion of continuity.
The illusion of continuity.
Yeah, we operate under this bizarre assumption that time is just a static corridor we walk down, and that we can pause our lives and put an opportunity on a shelf and just resume it later.
Like saving your game.
Exactly. But time actually reconstructs reality constantly. The essay captures this urgency with a really profound observation. It says, tomorrow's rising sun is not yesterday's setting sun, and tomorrow's self is not yesterday's self.
And tomorrow's self is not yesterday's self.
Yeah.
Wow, we tell ourselves, oh, I'll start that business next year. Or I'll write that book when things calm down, as if the you next year will be the exact same person with the exact same inspiration and energy.
But you won't be.
No.
Yeah.
You are fundamentally a different organism by then. The passion might be totally gone.
Right. And the text leans on Confucius to drive this home, noting, quote, the passage of time is like the flow of water.
And then the author drops this incredibly evocative line. They say, 1,000 sails pass by the shipwreck and 10,000 saplings thrive beyond the withered tree.
That imagery of the shipwreck perfectly encapsulates the mechanism of passivity. The world continues its relentless motion regardless of your participation. The water does not stop flowing just because your ship is broken.
I am so latched on to that 1,000 sails imagery. It presents such a clear choice for you, the listener. Like, we tend to think of a shipwreck as a tragic accident. But in the context of this essay, becoming the shipwreck is a deliberate choice.
That's a choice to stop.
Yeah, you are choosing to drop anchor out of hesitation and fear while life just passes you by. Or you can choose to be one of the 1,000 sails, actively catching the wind and moving past the decay.
And the author issues a direct command here. They say, be active to make yourself a member of the 1,000 sails.
But what if you're stuck, like really stuck?
Well, importantly, the text acknowledges that this isn't always easy. It notes that you might be facing terrible circumstances, trapped in your times of greatest trouble. But it insists that even in those moments, taking initiative is the absolute only way out.
Action is the only way out.
Action is the only way to overcome resistance and create what the author calls a new world of dense willows and bright flowers. Action isn't a luxury reserved for when things are going well. It is the fundamental tool for survival when things are at their worst.
Let's bring all of this together because we've journeyed through a truly sweeping, uncompromising philosophy today.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. We started by looking at the internal thorns of personal regret. You know, those poisonous weeds that grow when we repress our own vitality and treat time like an infinite bank account.
Right.
And then we examined the ruthless biological efficiency of nature, where a failure to bloom simply means being discarded. We scaled that up to the moral duty we owe society to radically share our talents rather than selfishly hiding them.
Get them out of the dress folder.
Exactly. And finally, we face the ultimate cosmic stakes. The choice between rotting like incombustible wood in a self-made hell or ascending by fulfilling our true function. The ultimate takeaway from this deep dive into the source material is a profound call to action. Do not wait for tomorrow. Bloom in the present.
The philosophy leaves absolutely no room for excuses. Initiative is life. Passivity is the slow erosion of that life.
And so I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today as you go about your routine. The essay reminds us that tomorrow's self is not yesterday's self.
Right.
If that is true, then every time we choose passivity, are we not just delaying our goals? Are we actively erasing the person we could have become today? Look closely at your own life. What dreams, talents, or unsaid words are currently sitting like money in a bank, depreciating in value while you wait for the perfect time to spend them? It's time to flip the hourglass. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
Stay curious, take action, and we'll catch you next time.